The story opens with Anna and Elsa's mom, Iduna, telling the two little girls a story about the magic in their world. The magic is sometimes really obvious, but other times, much sneakier. Elsa asks what she means. Iduna tells the girls about the agents of chaos known as trolls. They are small, very interesting-looking otherworldly creatures that like to use their powers to make bizarre and fantastic things happen. They can make mountains sing, they can turn your house upside down, cause it to rain hot chocolate, and they can even turn your hair from blonde to pink. Anna thinks that sounds very fun. Iduna says that it certainly can be, but the world needs order for a reason. It's good to have fun, but not if it's harmful or makes the lives of others harder. So, Elsa asks if the trolls are evil. Iduna mentions that they aren't inherently evil, just misguided, although some have more of a desire to make people's lives miserable out of selfish gain, while others play silly but harmless tricks and even befriend humans. The girls ask if their mother has ever seen or befriended a troll. The mother sadly says she never got the chance, but tells them of a fun time when she was a child that she woke up one morning with her bed on the ceiling and all of her belongings floating. Her parents freaked out, but she thought it was fun. It was at this point she thought she heard a giggle, but was never able to find the source of it. Anna says she wants to meet a troll one day, but Elsa is more cautious and thinks she doesn't want to accidentally meet a mean one. Iduna says who knows what the future brings, but whatever chaos may fall, she tells them to always stick together and work through it as a team. They're sisters after all, and if they do meet a troll, make sure to tell her. She smiles and says she wants to hear all about it. All while this is happening, on screen you see colorful trails of magic zipping across the snowy environment. Their colorful magic ribbons eventually combine together to form what looks like a mirror. You can hear various giggles coming from somewhere off screen. And now for some context on Anna and Elsa. The two of them are still the princesses of Arendelle, but neither of them have any powers. And Elsa has dark brown hair and her skin tone is a tad darker, more like Anna's skin tone. Kristoff is their childhood friend. They would play together often. He's obsessed with ice, because he was the son of one of those icemen who harvested ice. I think the implication was he was one of their sons, who abandoned their son to be raised by rock trolls. We need more of a backstory on Kristoff in the original Frozen. But anyway, as far as the three children go, winter is their favorite holiday to play in. And so, the three kids go out to play in the snow. Elsewhere, the trolls meet to talk about this magic mirror. They're looking into it and laughing hysterically. It is here we find out what this mirror can do. It shows the ugliest and most vile version of the thing that's being reflected. The trolls think it's hilarious and look at many people and items through it. The trolls then decide to fly high into the sky in order to get a good reflection of Arendelle to see what its worst version looks like. It's here that one of them accidentally drops the mirror and it shatters into fine specks that can barely be seen by the naked eye. Most of the trolls laugh at this mishap and think whatever happens next will be wonderfully chaotic. However, one of the younger and more innocent-looking trolls, who was responsible for it falling, actually feels bad about it breaking. He asks if the humans will be okay. The other trolls don't care and tell him to relax. The young troll, maybe in this version of the story this troll's name is Olaf, asks if they can just use their magic to get the shards back. The trolls don't feel like it and they fly up higher to watch the show. Reluctantly, Olaf joins them. And just to reiterate again, in this version of Frozen, Olaf is a troll and not a snowman. And the trolls in this story are not like the rock trolls in Frozen. They're a different kind of troll. The broken shards then mesh with the snow, making the snow seem to glitter. Elsa notices this and goes to use the snow to either build a snowman with or make snow angels. When she runs towards it, the wind just happens to blow. One could say a magical, convenient wind, and the mirror shards swirl up from the snow and swirl around Elsa. She gets the shards in her eyes, all over her skin, and on her heart. The effect of the mirror shards causes not only her heart to freeze, but she somehow fuses with them. They cause her skin to become much paler, and her hair turns the platinum blonde we know her to have now. When Kristoff sees how she looks, he develops a crush on her because of how much she matches the snow and ice. And now she has her ice powers. But she can't control them, nor can she recognize Kristoff and Anna as people she cared about. Her powers go out of control, freezing what wasn't already frozen and creating mountains and hills of ice. Kristoff thinks it's neat how she can freeze things. Anna tries to get him to run away with her to tell their parents what happened so that they can save Elsa. But as Anna is tugging on Kristoff to run, some of Elsa's powers hit and injure Anna in her head, like in the beginning of Frozen. Kristoff now sees that they are in danger and takes Anna and runs back to her parents, leaving Elsa there to freeze everything. Kristoff makes it to the king and queen and tells them what happened. They believed him because of the state Anna's in. The queen takes Anna to her bedroom to rest while the king and his soldiers go fetch Elsa and see if there's anything they can do about her. When the king and his men arrive to where Elsa was, she's gone. They can't find her in the area anywhere. Meanwhile, at the castle, Anna still lay unconscious. The doctors, frantic as they were unable to revive her and didn't know how to deal with this. And so, Anna lay asleep in her bed while her mother and Kristoff worry for her. Suddenly, Olaf presents himself before Kristoff and Iduna. Given the intensity of the situation, the two of them are very defensive and protective of the injured Anna and demand that he leaves. Olaf tells them that he comes in peace. He uses his magic to unfreeze Anna's brain. The injury, though, caused her to forget what happened that day, and he couldn't reverse that. The king meets up with them, telling them that they can't find Elsa. Olaf mentions that he doesn't know where she is either. He informs them about the situation with the magic mirror and what's happening with Elsa. He, however, fails to mention how he helped make the mirror and that he's the one who dropped it. Explaining further, Olaf says that Elsa is no longer who she once was because of the effects of the mirror. He says that only love can melt a frozen heart, but Elsa had absorbed too much of the mirror. She's probably beyond saving now. But they were welcome to try. After that, the king sends out himself and his men to search for Elsa, day in and day out for years, but with no results. They told Anna that Elsa had died in some freak accident. Anna believes this, but Kristoff knows the truth. The king and queen told him to keep it a secret. They all mourn for her. Anna is kept inside the castle all these years because her parents fear that more shards of the mirror could be out there and will take her away too, so they don't ever let her leave. Kristoff, however, is allowed to come and go into the castle to play with / hang out with Anna as he pleases, since the king and queen both know how important they are to each other. Anna and Kristoff have a sibling-like relationship. There's no romance at all between them. Olaf stays with them as they grow up in order to make up for his mistake. He befriends Anna and Kristoff and entertains them. The three grow close, but Olaf can't seem to shake his guilt. When Anna and Kristoff are teenagers, the king and queen die at sea because, Disney, and because Frozen did it first. There was a snowstorm that lasted a few days after they died. Then it just went away. Kristoff and Olaf are now the only people important to Anna. Skip ahead some years. Before Anna's coronation to become queen, a few shards of the mirror from the beginning fly in on a gust of cold wind. These shards get into Kristoff's eyes and heart. He becomes cruel to Anna and everyone else as he can only see them as ugly and bad. Anna is heartbroken that she is now almost completely alone. Anna becomes queen of Arendelle. She's sad because her family couldn't be there for her coronation, and she's sad that Kristoff no longer seems to care about her. He still showed up to the coronation, though, because reasons. Olaf's still very nice to her and seems to support her, but you could definitely tell that Anna's heart had definitely been breaking more and more as time had gone on. After the coronation, Anna meets Prince Hans. The two are smitten with one another, because instant attractions are actually a thing and do happen in real life. Kristoff insults Anna and questions if she should be falling for a guy so quickly and that she should know more about him before rushing into a relationship. She tells him to lay off and asks why he even cares since it didn't seem like he liked her anymore. They get into an argument. Kristoff is just about to storm off and leave the party. Just then, a freak snowstorm comes along. In the middle of July. No one knows where it came from. All of the lights go out, all of the windows burst open, and snowflakes fly in. Mostly everyone is freaking out except for Kristoff. Then, an oddly large snowflake flies in front of him. This is the only thing he's seen that was beautiful in a while, and he just stares at it. But then, through the ice of the snowflake, he sees a figure standing at the open door. It was a beautiful young woman wearing a white fur coat. Her complexion and hair matched the winter storm. He recognized that it was Elsa. As if in a trance, he walks outside to where she is. Anna notices that he's walking outside to something. She calls out to him. He doesn't hear her and he keeps walking. He makes it outside. Anna attempts to run in after him, but a strong gust of wind blows her back. Hans was able to catch her. She tries to run outside again and actually makes it outside this time, but now Kristoff is gone. Anna refuses to let someone else in her life be taken away. She sets out on a journey to find him, and because she's not a complete idiot, she doesn't leave Hans, someone she just met, in charge of her kingdom, but the royal officials and supervisors who already existed in Arendelle. Hans actually accompanies her on her journey, so they set off. Olaf decides to stay put as the guilt he had felt began to swell even more. Meanwhile, Arendelle is getting more and more buried under ice and snow. While on their journey, which doesn't just take one day, but maybe several days, Hans and Anna come across a sorceress who somehow lives in a really warm climate within the snow, likes them a lot, and wants them to be her children. She wipes their memories of what they were supposed to be doing, and Anna forgets about Kristoff completely. Meanwhile, with Elsa and Kristoff, Elsa, who has made an ice castle for herself, is enjoying having company. She used her powers to make Kristoff forget about Anna and his life in Arendelle. Kristoff looks very cold but acts as if the ice/him getting frozen doesn't bother him. We see now that Elsa has more control over her powers than when she was a child, but she knows she cannot exist among normal people, so she creates beings made of snow to keep her company. But since they weren't real people and weren't even really alive, she became lonely again. She'd often look out longingly to Arendelle and didn't know why the kingdom called out to her. All she knew was ice. For some reason, after hearing about the queen's coronation, her powers acted up. She didn't know why. She tried to get closer and closer to Arendelle, but her powers came along with her, and so did the storm. She was happy when Kristoff came out to meet her. She just had to take him away, but she couldn't help but feel as if she was forgetting something. She shook off that thought and just spent time with him, ignorant to the fact that he was slowly freezing over. Back at the sorceresses, Hans and Anna are in a complete trance, going about their merry lives as the children of this woman. Eventually, Olaf is the one who snaps Anna and Hans out of their trance. But just as they were about to leave, the sorceress who kidnaps them is revealed to actually be the trolls in disguise. They wanted to mess up their journey and add even more chaos to the situation. They ask Olaf why he's even helping them. After all, he's the one who caused this mess in the first place. Olaf is terrified hearing this out loud. Anna asks what they mean by that. Olaf is silent. The trolls tell her what happened, how he was a willing participant in making the mirror, and how he's the one who dropped it. A brilliant move, by the way. Created years of entertainment for them. Throughout this whole exchange, Olaf is using his magic to teleport the other trolls to different places, cover their mouths with sticky items, and other hijinks to make the explanation stop. But his efforts are futile and they explain everything. Olaf yells that it was an accident that the mirror fell. Anna confirms the truth about everything. The trolls also tell her that the Snow Queen is actually her sister Elsa. What happened to Elsa is why their parents locked Anna up. Anna is fuming at this point, and she yells at Olaf and demands he uses his powers to turn everything back to normal. Olaf says he can't. Trolls can't interfere with the magic of other trolls. It's part of what makes their magic so chaotic. He helped make the mirror, but it wasn't just him. All of the trolls would have to agree to reverse it. The other trolls deny the demand and just laugh it off. Anna attempts to hurt them by throwing things at them in a frenzy, but nothing works. They evade everything. Even when an item impacts a troll, it appears to be dead, but then just comes back to life, faking the whole thing. The trolls explain that humans can't destroy trolls. It's impossible. Olaf tries to comfort Anna, but she basically tells him to leave her alone and that she never wants to see him again. Hearing her cold tone, Olaf, now very sad, stays put while Anna and Hans leave to go after Elsa and Kristoff. Anna is crying by this point and Hans tries to comfort her. He says he knows that Olaf messed up, but it seems like he was super important to her. Does she really want to let him go? He tells Anna that he's jealous that she had a sister and Kristoff and Olaf who cared about her growing up. His brothers largely ignored him and never respected him. He didn't really have any friends because his parents never thought anyone was good enough for him. But if he had what Anna had, even if things got really heated, he'd do his best to make everything right with them because he'd never want to lose a precious thing. Anna says that every bad thing that has happened to her was because of Olaf. She says she can't forgive him. She wants to, but she can't. This saddens Hans, but he continues to support her. Eventually, as they head up the mountain, the snowstorm gets so bad that it's hard to walk forward. They'll definitely freeze to death if this keeps up. Suddenly, a reindeer shows up out of nowhere and approaches them with a friendly demeanor. Anna wonders where he came from and asks where his family is. The reindeer motions its head towards the heart of the mountain. Anna asks if he lost them too. The reindeer nods. Hans asks the reindeer if he can carry them up the mountain. They're looking for important people too, so maybe they can work together. The reindeer agrees, and with his help, they're able to make the dangerous trek in a mad dash. They finally arrive through a snowy magical portal to the Snow Queen's castle. Anna seems nervous. Hans asks her what's wrong. She says it's nothing. He says he's there for her and holds her hand. They enter the castle and find Kristoff lying down in the middle of what looks like a frozen lake. He's unconscious, and he himself looks nearly completely frozen, and she couldn't even tell if he was breathing. Anna runs over to him despite Hans's warning, but before she can get close, Elsa shows up and uses her icy wind to blow Anna backwards, telling Anna not to touch him. Ice and snow swirl around them, making it hard for Anna or Hans to see. Nevertheless, Anna takes one step forward, then another, covering her face from the cold. She calls out to the Snow Queen, telling her that she knows that she's her sister Elsa, and she calls out to Elsa, telling her that she's Anna, her sister. Elsa blinks in confusion and says, "Anna?" as she tries to remember where she recognizes that name. But then she shakes her head and says that she doesn't care who she is. No one is allowed to get near Kristoff and take him away, that she won't be lonely ever again. Anna tells her that keeping him there is killing him. He's almost completely frozen. If he stays here, he'll die, and she really will be alone. She tells Elsa that they all can go back home and be together again, and no one has to be lonely. Anna says please, and that she doesn't want to lose him either because she had already lost so much. But she says she's happy now that she found her big sister, and they could be happy again, just like when they were kids. She says, "Come home, Elsa." Elsa's mind is all confused. She doesn't know what to think, but the confusion and pain well up and make her powers even more violent. Ice spikes pop up from the ground all over the place. Hans and Anna dodge them. Anna attempts to run towards Kristoff and Elsa. Elsa's powers lash out and come close to hitting Anna. When Elsa attacks Anna, the reindeer from before swoops in out of nowhere and blocks the attack and takes it. The attack was so strong that it makes him fall to the ground, unable to move. Anna is stunned, but then even more so when the reindeer's body transforms into Olaf, who was lying almost motionless on the ice. Anna runs to him with tears and asks what he just did. She realizes he was the reindeer the whole time. Olaf says he couldn't abandon her. All of this was his fault and he wanted to atone. Besides, Anna and Kristoff are his dear friends. He wants them to be happy, even if it's without him. Hans asks how it's even possible that he's hurt. Elsa's a human and shouldn't be able to hurt him. Olaf explains that because of the mirror, Elsa has troll powers. Trolls can hurt other trolls. Anna asks why he didn't just make a shield or something out of his magic to protect Anna. Why did he have to use his own body? Olaf says that it's better this way. It was the only way to show how sorry he was to Anna, Elsa, and Kristoff. He tells Hans to look over Anna for him. Hans tells him not to give up. There's better ways to make it up to her. Anna calls him an idiot as she cries over him. His body is starting to freeze over. As Anna cries, Anna feels a stinging pain coming from her head. Now that Olaf is dying, his magic that healed her as a child is wearing off. Her body is becoming colder as she starts to lose the ability to use her limbs. Olaf realizes what's happening and apologizes even more. With her brain freezing over, she'll lose functionality with her limbs and all of her memories will be wiped as she eventually succumbs to the cold. He says he really is only good for causing chaos, a true troll until the end. Anna weakly tells him this isn't true. Elsa, after seeing all of this grief, looks on in disbelief at the sight. Her memories seem to be slowly returning, and she screams out in agony as she drops to the ground repeating, "No, no, no," to herself. Hans sees what's happening and helps Anna sit up. He remembers an old fairy tale about how an act of true love can break any curse or spell, an act such as a kiss. He tells this to Anna, and she weakly agrees to it. And so they kiss. Unfortunately, this doesn't reverse her frozen heart. He tells Anna he's sorry. She says it's not his fault. Turns out it wasn't love at first sight after all. She weakly tells him that she believes that if given enough time, they could fall in love and be happy. He sadly agrees with this. Within several more seconds, Anna had forgotten Hans' name and who he was entirely. This hurts him, but he sadly understands. Anna's vision goes in and out, but she does notice Elsa and Kristoff. She knows that she knows them. She knows they are important to her. She can't think of their names, but she feels she needs to be with them. And this creature in her lap that's nearly a frozen statue, he's important too, right? Anna asks the kind stranger with her to help her over to those people on the other side of the room. Hans complies and carries the nearly vegetative Anna, who also has Olaf in her lap, over to Elsa and Kristoff. With the rest of her strength, Anna holds Kristoff's free hand and holds her other hand out to Elsa, who is no longer actively using her powers against them and is still crying in grief. Elsa is surprised to see this gesture from Anna. She's too ashamed to oblige. Anna tells her, "It's okay. We're together, and we'll never have to be apart again, so please don't cry." She says this while looking at everyone, including Olaf. Elsa is surprised by these words. With her last bit of strength, Anna weakly says, I love you guys." As her hand goes limp, Elsa quickly and desperately takes it into her own, but there's no more life in her sister's hand. Elsa says Anna's name, and she says she loves them all too. Hans looks down and closes his eyes in mourning. Elsa cries more and whispers, "Anna." Just then, a golden light shines around the floor. Kristoff's color returns to him and he takes in a huge gasp of air. Anna's body begins to magically come back to life and warm up. She blinks and takes a breath. She feels Kristoff's hand squeezing hers. She looks up to find him smiling at her. She smiles brightly and hugs him, saying she's glad he's okay. "Anna? Kristoff?" The two of them look up and see Elsa with her hands over her mouth, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her hair is back to the dark brown it had been when she was a child, except for a streak of platinum blonde. She says she's so sorry for everything that she's done and that she was so lonely and cold. Anna and Kristoff bring her into the hug, letting their love do the talking. After the trio reunite, Olaf makes himself known to show that he's alright too. No more frozen statue! Their love thawed his frozen heart as well. He's in disbelief because he thought that Anna didn't care about him anymore. Anna hugs him in relief and says, "You silly troll, I love you too, and don't you forget it." Olaf is unsure if she really forgives him, and Anna nods in confirmation. She apologizes for the harsh words she said. Elsa and Kristoff are confused as to what they're talking about. Elsa is even more confused because she has no idea what Olaf is. Anna, Hans, and Olaf tell them that it's a long story. Elsa smiles and says she's got time. And now for the epilogue. The snowstorm has stopped and Arendelle is nice and sunny and in summer again. Elsa has returned home. Anna decided to throw another party, but this time just with friends. Even though Elsa was the older sister, Anna had already been deemed queen, and Elsa was plenty okay with that. She was just happy to be with her loved ones again. Anna and Kristoff complain that their drinks are somehow too warm. Anna's a bit bummed because she wanted everything to be perfect for this party. Elsa taps their glasses with her finger and their drinks chill instantly, showing that she still has her powers, but on a much smaller scale. She just discovered it this morning. Kristoff is amazed at her powers and falls for her even more. Anna teases how obvious he is and that his face gives his feelings away completely. Kristoff, frustrated, gestured for Anna to be quiet. Elsa doesn't understand what they're doing or saying. Hans just chuckles. Switching the topic, Anna notes that it's almost like Elsa is half troll now, or maybe she's an ice troll? Olaf says that that's not troll-like. This is troll-like. He snaps his fingers and all of the servants' hair turn pink. They all start to flail around in panic. Anna scolds Olaf. He says, "What? I'm still a troll." Elsa thinks the prank was funny. What he did was just like their mom would tell them as kids. The sisters think about their mother and father and how they miss them. Olaf mentions that their mother was super fun and cute as a child. They're surprised to hear that. "Wait, did you know our mother, Olaf?" He says not personally, but he did play this fun trick one time where all of the beds and stuff floated in her room. Their mom was the only one to find that funny. This is when the sisters realize that he was the troll that their mom heard giggle. Anna asks why didn't he say anything about that before? Olaf deflects the question by transforming into a goofy polar bear who is juggling muffins. Anna sighs and smiles at him. "What are we gonna do with him?" she asks. Elsa says she likes having him around, and now it's like having a piece of mother with them in a way. Anna agrees. Kristoff awkwardly inches closer to Anna with a blush and tells her that he's always liked ice, and she smiles at him. Hans gets closer to Anna to hold her hand, and they smile at each other. He says, "Never a dull moment, huh?" She agrees, saying, "Nope, it's pure chaos. But that's fine, because we'll face it together. All of us." The four look on at Olaf, who is continuing to be goofy and play tricks. Zoom out and fade to black. And that's all there is. There isn't any more.